Hi, it's Wendy here from Informed Literacy, and I am here today to demonstrate how to make the most out of your small group instructional time. As reading specialists, Jen and I had to figure out a way to maximize our reading time with our students because oftentimes they would get to group late and we'd only have 20 minutes or so to work with them. So we really had to make sure that we were getting the most out of our time with our students. And so in order to do that, Jen and I developed a lesson progression which is based on structured literacy format, science of reading all the way. And the goal of the lesson progression is to help students become confident readers and read a decodable text with accuracy. The text that we'll be demonstrating these lesson progressions with is Ben and His Pet Hen. It's our own informed literacy decodables, hot off the press. And the focus will be words with the CVC words with a short E sound. So let's get started. This suggested progression is for emergent readers. So we'll be working on day one today, which includes successive blending with cards, successive blending on paper, and a sentence scramble. The successive blending on cards was demonstrated in a previous video. So depending on your students' exposure to reading and tapping words, we'll start with the very basic. So I would put the first letter down and I would say the sound of that letter. And then I would have the student say, and then I would put the next letter down and I would say, re. And then my student would say, re. And then I would put the next letter down and say, d. And then I would say, re, d. And my student would say, re, d. And then we blend it all together, red. And the student would say, red. So that is an example of how we would do successive blending. Every story comes with two word lists. So we would create we would use the word cards that match these word lists. And we have one that looks like words, the same words, on cards. Instead of cards, we have little boxes because students don't always make that quantum leap that if they read the words on cards, they can also read the words on paper. So we gently transition them to reading words on paper. And if our students are still kind of guessing and checking at words, we would cover up the first letter. So if the student was reading the first word, we would say j, they would say j. Then we'd uncover the next letter, and our student would say and then we put it together, ja, and the student would say ja. And then the third letter, and the student would say and then we would put it together, ja, and my student would say ja, and then we'd say the whole word, Jen. And the reason that we would use successive blending is sometimes students have trouble hanging on to more than one sound or more than two sounds. So they can blend two sounds, but if they have weak auditory processing, they may have trouble holding on to three sounds. So we kind of build up to that three sound blending. All right, the next thing is one of my very favorite activities, and one of our students' very favorite activities, and that is our sentence scramble. So every story comes with two sentence scrambles, and we'll just do one sentence scramble today. And we would make a copy of this, and then we would cut it into word cards. So we would put the sentence out correctly, and then we would ask perhaps a student volunteer to read the sentence. So any of the words that don't have a star are words that they know that they can tap and blend. So they could read ben. And if they had trouble reading this word, we could remind them that S sometimes makes a Z sound and they could try and tap that. If they can't do it, we would give them the word. So Ben has a, and then they could tap red, and hen. So then we would read the sentence again. Ben has a red hen. And then the fun part starts. We scramble up the sentence, and then we have the students read the sentence as a scrambled sentence, and they get the biggest kick out of this. And then after they read it as a scrambled sentence, like has pen been read? That doesn't make sense. And then we have the student unscramble the sentence. And this is a great way for them to practice a little, sneak in a little bit of grammar. The word that has a capital usually begins the sentence. Of course, this one is a name too, so it also gets a capital. But Ben, and then we would say, what's the next word? Who remembers the next word? Has. Who can find the word has? Ben has. What does Ben have? And hopefully someone would say, Ben has a red pen. And then we would talk about the period at the end of the sentence. And you can kind of take this to the next level where you can have students pair up, read the sentence, scramble the sentence. One student scrambles it, the other one unscrambles it, and they have the best time with this activity. They think it is so much fun. So that is our speedy little lesson day 1. So all the materials that I demonstrated today can be found in our supplemental resource pack set 1 that corresponds with our decodable books, our set 1 of decodable books. Everything is at your fingertips, the letter cards, the sentence scrambles, the word lists, even the lesson plans and the lesson progression. So it makes planning for small group reading time a snap. It really simplifies it. You don't have to go hunting or thinking up your own word lists or writing your own sentence scrambles. It's all there. So you just plan it, print it, and go. So I've put the links below for all these resources, and I hope that you found this video helpful. And if you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.